I've done it. I've automated the brass age. That is right, we have everything that we need in the brass age. I think we've done about 90% of the things added by the Create mod pack, at least for like placeable objects and stuff, and the whole brass age is done. Along with the entirety of the copper age, the entirety of the redstone-y bits, and everything added in the Create 6.0 update. As you can see, a lot of things are very similar to what was in the Andesite age farm, but there are quite a few differences, and I'll go over each one of them. If you haven't seen my video from Friday, I definitely would check it out because I explain these in way more detail, but let's go over first the kind of main four changes that we've made. Instead of having a frog port for each sawing item, so there's 6 in total, we now just have 1 for all the sawing items using an asterisk, which just says saw and then all, and then we use things called package filters to filter out the package by name, split the package in half, and then saw it to the filter that we desire. We have 6 in total, as I mentioned, and this kind of strategy was used all the way along for crafting, fans, these types of things, and mixing over here. Crafting has also been improved by basically doubling the amount of crafting that we have. And the final one, which is probably the most important so that these chains don't back up, is we now have a pulse timer system for 20 seconds that will send a package out every 20 seconds if there is anything in this barrel, meaning this won't have 1,000 packages on it backing things up, having them spin around here for eternity. It'll just work. I've also updated and fixed the andesite casing and other casings now crafting system that we have here. There were some issues with it that came up when we were doing multiple crafting of casings at a time, so that has now been fixed. This lever used to be powering this deployer, meaning that it wouldn't be able to move, which has now been fixed. We have added over here a sheep farm for wool, for all of the wood-based things like sails and seats and tablecloths and all that fun stuff. I've added more mixers here so we can make the cardboard items and brass, of course. I've added a precision mechanism farm that is fully automated, and we have an input item vault for all of the excess items that you need to make this thing. There are 6 things in total. You can physically make a farm for some of these, but others like zinc and copper, you can't with an asterisk. If you have other mods, you obviously can. For copper, you can with the vanilla mode, but nothing in the Create mod. We also made a sugarcane farm for all the paper-based things. We needed filters and sandpaper to get the polished rose quartz that you can see there. And as we go through it, I'll explain more in detail. As you can see, this is built alongside my andesite age farm, and that is because we kind of need it. A lot of these things, let's say smart chutes, for example, where are they? These guys require chutes. So we're just pulling them from the andesite age side, getting the chutes, combining them with the smart chutes. If we're not doing that, then we're just gonna basically have another section for the whole andesite age to make the things in the brass age, and that felt a little stupid. So the prerequisite is that you need the andesite age farm. I will re-upload and fix the andesite age farms to include all these updated things so that you can just paste in the few things that were added for the brass age, like the precision mechanism farm, so you don't have to deal with anything other than setting up the things that I mentioned in that andesite age video. Okay, but now to get to the fun parts, and by fun parts, it's going to be tedious. For some reason, the Create mod does not let you just copy over all of these links and stuff. You have to do all of them manually. We're going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do it, along with connecting back up these frog ports to all the chains that it needs, naming all of them, and doing all that fun stuff. The build and style is very, very similar. I have increased the length of this by 1 or 2 blocks, if I remember correctly, maybe 3 here, because we needed extra space for the sugarcane and the sawing. It is still all run off of one level 9 steam engine. If we grab a stressometer here, you can see that it is pretty close to the top. Oh my goodness, it is basically capped out. Just to show you what this whole thing can make, if we open up our stock keeper here, you can see that we have powered rails, precision mechanisms, brass hands, rotation speed controllers, all the train items here, so train controls, the train signals, everything train-wise, packagers, repackagers, sequence gear shifts, all of the smart things, glue even. There's so many things that we are making here, and it's fully automated, except for these things. But this is doable. This is fine. As always, the schematics for all of these things will be in the description, including all of the separate modules here. So we'll have the separate sawing module, separate crafting, separate fan, etc. So all of those will all be included, and as well, the whole farm itself will be included. And as I mentioned, I will update the andesite farm so that it fits this vibe. It just doesn't yet have all the things for the brass age set up. I have selected all of the numbers for these things based off of just vibes, really. You can change them to your will, just make sure that you have enough storage for them. We're using 4 max size 3x3 storage systems over there. That should be enough for everything, but if you're going like 100 stacks of each thing, obviously it won't be. I will also warn you that this takes quite a while to fill up. We'll talk about it later in the tutorial once we actually get the whole thing started, but I think AFKing just the brass half of this farm, which isn't the more expensive one, at least I don't think, took multiple hours. I think you would need to AFK it for a full 24 hours to get everything set up. The benefit though of this system is that once you set it up once, it'll automatically get all the materials for you after that. And if you were to upgrade this gold section here, I think it would go even faster. We're not doing this in this video because I wanted to keep it simple-ish, but I do have a gold farm on my channel that produces 500 gold ingots per hour, which is infinitely more than this thing can produce. So if you see that you're running out of gold very, very often and are willing to spend a bunch of stress units and time to make a bunch of crushing wheels to make a bunch of gold ingots per hour, or you have other mods to do that, that will drastically speed up the farm. But enough rambling, let's get to the tutorial. We are going to just be doing the schematic today because the schematic still doesn't let you place in all these things. Depending on your create version, and if you're playing on Forge or Neoforge or Fabric, if that ever comes up, you may or may not have filters being set here, and I will try my best to have the schematic in both Neoforge and Forge versions because at the moment Fabric is not available, so we can't have a Fabric version yet. I will only have versions for the actual machines though in Neoforge because otherwise I'm making like 30 schematics. If you already have the Andesite Age factory, you'll want to put them in the exact same spot. The Andesite Age should line up perfectly with this section here, so you can map it out to that. But the reason for that is if we have factory gauges here, and we don't connect them at all, and we put in the item, you can see that it already is kind of connected, which isn't really helpful for our needs, since then we'll have duplicates of everything and it'll be a nightmare to fix. So please only have one of these in your world. If you're gonna do 2, you'll have to replace all of the things from Create 6 because they're all linked together. So these factory gauges link to these stock keepers, which link to the stock ticker and all the stuff over here in the storage. So it's just better to please only have one in your world, and if you and your friends want separate ones for whatever reason, you'll have to change all of these to a different frequency and configuration so that they're not connected to one another. There will be chapters on this video. All the schematics that you need will be in the description. Don't click off, you're gonna be screwed. I will also include the schematic for this whole factory board in the description if you so desire, and you can mix and match with all of the components here that we have already. All right, so when you're in your world, you're gonna need to get a schematic and a schematic cannon, of course, and I've already used a schematic and search for the Brass Age factory. If you don't know how to get it in here, you just open this folder and then drag it from the downloads, and then you'll be able to see it if you refresh. After that, we're gonna put a schematic in here, click the checkbox for the Create 6.0 Brass Age factory, and then it'll take forever to load because it's a massive file. Once this is loaded, we're gonna need our schematic cannon and then a item chest bit of some sort. And since I'm using a creative crate, I have creative gunpowder, but normally you'd see something like this. You wanna put the chest next to it, and it'll basically just take all the items from the chest that you have in there and use it for the schematic. Before we can place in the schematic with the thing though, we need to position it. So I'm just going to place it in right here. I would recommend, or at least, ooh, what are you doing? I bet that's a bug. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I would recommend not rotating it or mirroring it. If you don't have to, it could mess stuff up. I don't know how good this Create Mod version is at directionality, but at least previous ones messed up big time, especially with complex machines like this. Once you have that, we're gonna put it in the schematic cannon itself. Stop. No, stop. I hate this. Once you put it in, it will say out of gunpowder, unless you have gunpowder in here, and then otherwise you'll have items or something else. If you get a book, you can shift click it in, it'll put it in the top bit, and then you'll get a material checklist of all the things that you want. You can put a clipboard here, but I've crashed my game sometimes with large enough schematics files, so I decided not to. This will have all the things that you need, and then you can go down the line and get everything that you need, put it in chests or backpacks or barrels around this thing, and then it'll use it as a thing. What I would recommend for these config options, you can see here that there's a bunch of stuff. If you don't know what all this means, I have a goated guide to the Create Mod. Check that out because I'm not explaining it here. I would do solid with any. Keep skip missing blocks on. I'm turning it off because I don't need it, but keep it on. And we're just going to throw this next to it. Normally you'd have to hit play, but for some reason I don't have to. I now have a cheaty way to place in way more items faster than you do. and then a cheatier way to go even faster, because I don't want to wait for this, but you'll have to because you're probably playing in survival. Once this is done pasting in, you can see that this is now finished. The schematic is now empty, and you might get some stuff in here. You can see that it's placed in these birch saplings, but the things like sugarcane over here are not placed in, and that's because waterlogging stairs and other things won't work, and now all our stuff is broken. So we'll have to do that, but we'll get to that in a second. First things first, I want to get the steam engine up and running, because the faster we get this set up to make lava for us, the faster this will actually get up to full speed. So you're going to need some shafts and lava buckets, I think 14 buckets in total. And first we're going to place in some shafts. You're going to place them horizontally along the edge like this, and they should connect to all of these steam engine parts. You're then going to come up here and place in lava on top of all of the smooth stone blocks that exist, and we should see that none of those are flowing, and underneath these dripstones are dripping lava into these cauldrons. You obviously don't need to do the cauldron thing if you have an infinite lava source, and you're kind of gonna need that for other things, so maybe just do that. Next, we're going to put in water into these two slabs, or stair blocks, so that this pump can pull water up into the fluid tank. And then we're going to come all the way to the back here where we have these water wheels, and we're going to first put in water on the floor bit, and then we're going to put it in on the eye level bit so that this should start spinning. We're then going to get some buckets. I'm just going to do 8. You could do 16. It doesn't matter. Into this smart chute. And then we should see that they are now in the hopper, which is true. And then that'll get this whole system started up. You're going to want to run around and grab more lava and put it into these 5 cauldrons over on this side. The same thing on the other side here. And then I think we can get to the sugarcane and water placement. We're going to start with the bottom floor here. We're just going to put in water into all of these hole bits and then fill in sugarcane in the rest of the spots. Then on the top floor, we're going to do the same thing. Waterlog all the slabs and stairs. And then again, just put in more stuff. All right, once we've put in all the sugarcane, that one should be good. Now we have to, as you can probably pretty obviously tell, put in all of these chains for things. My guess is that your fluid tank will not yet be fully powered. As you can see, we don't have all our blaze burners heated up yet. So we're not going to connect it to this one spinning yet because it'll just get overstressed and not do anything. And with the engineer's goggles on, we could see that we're at heat 2 out of 9. So we got plenty of time to go. But let's connect up all these other ones with chains. We're just going to kind of go around in a circle. I'm going to bring this all the way over to here. And then this one is going to go to you, to you, to you, and that'll power all of those machines in there. Then this one's going to come back over to here. This one's going to go down a little bit and power those, and then all the way back in a loop. So once you have that, you should be good there. And now we have to name and do all the frog port stuff. But before we do that, I am deciding, for some reason there isn't, oh, it's because it was an item, I think. This will be fixed in your schematic, but we need water here, and then we need 3 blocks. 1 where the obsidian is, and then 2 more on top of it. We're also going to need 2 minecarts, 1 hopper minecart on this sideways rail, and then the other one a normal minecart inside of this cart assembler. And then we're just going to try our best to place in blocks. Maybe that won't work. Okay, let's break that minecart, then place in the blocks, and then put the minecart underneath it there so that it's half in the block there, which is exactly what we needed. You're then going to need to right-click this smart observer with a wrench to have it pointing towards this direction, and that is to turn off and on the farm for us. I'm going to break this torch, and then we're going to need to glue this thing together. I am fairly confident you won't have to do this, but if you do, I'm leaving it in. I don't know why this happened, to be honest. But now that that torch is back, now that whole thing is a contraption. All right, and then once that's set up, that should start going. We need to get our sheep in these spots here, so we're going to break these 3 glass blocks. Whoa. And obviously you're not rich like me and have spawn eggs, but we'll need to get 3 sets of sheep in here. I am going to require it to be white sheep, and that's just because all of the wool colors that we're using are based off of the white wool, so we can only really have that one. And then I'm just going to put items on top so that nothing can get to them. Underneath here, we're going to need to get in a mine cart. We got to make sure that that rail is powered, and that's because this lever is a little bit broken, so flick that on and off. We're going to put another hopper mine cart down in here, and that'll start going back and forth. On the backside here, we're going to fill these 3 barrels with shears as well. And this is just a normal vanilla sheep farm, wool farm. So shears in here, you can do it on breaking, efficiency, whatever. So while that's going, we have things, and what should we do next? Let's do the cobblestone generator. This thing should be relatively easy. We are going to put in lava directly next to these mechanical drills on the side here. and that should just flow straight down. You should see that that goes all the way along. You can see it just barely through all the chutes here, and then we're going to do the same thing over on this side on top of the cobblestone here in the way of the glass. And then we're going to go around and put water into these drills over on the side, and then the same thing on the other side. And then we're one more set underneath here. If you get on these belts, we're gonna open them and then water on all of these mechanical drills, and then after that we should be good. Then you can close up all these trapdoors if you care. If you don't, do whatever. We're gonna need to waterlog this middle trapdoor in here on this side for the iron farm washing. Everything else should be okay. I would recommend, for all the levers that exist, flick them on and off. You're gonna do this on all of the packagers and repackagers that may or may not have levers on them. So this one right here on the train casing farm, this one here on the andesite casing. I don't think there are any in the cobblestone generator. There's none here. And that might be all of them. Oh, you're gonna need to turn this lever back on to power both of these repackagers. Make sure you double flick this lever so that it turns itself back on, because sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know how or why, but yeah. And then for now that's good. We might need to fix that. We might need to do more in a little bit. Another thing I forgot to do is to flick this lever on and off. Obviously that fixed something and it's making everything work now. But oh my goodness, this was filling up like crazy, so make sure you do that. You will need to set up all of these items here. You could do it automatically or manually with just a chest, but you're going to need slime balls, redstone, zinc, and copper. You're also going to need over here amethyst shards. You're going to need less of them, but you're still going to need a few. And then we just have an on and off switch for these in case it fills up. It just won't. So that'll be good. Make sure you have lava in these cauldrons. I think we already did that. And then also that you have them in the birch and tree farm area here. So do it on all 5 of those. Ooh, we're gonna need to invert the signals from all of these. I lied. Okay, double invert them because for some reason they were already like that, and only some of them were like that. I don't know why that was the case, but make sure that these are powered and selected here, and more importantly powered. And I guess let's do the same on all of these. That's working properly. Yeah, the rest look to be correct. So I don't know what's going on with that. I think now we can, let's go in mostly to the birch farm, but let's do it to the other ones. Go up to the top in the center over here, and we're gonna break down and right click the windmill bearing there to turn it on, have that start breaking stuff for us. And ooh, for the kelp farm we are going to need to put in more water sources. So let's break in here and just go to work. I'm going to close up the way behind us, and then you could just put source blocks all the way along and it should fill up 90% of them. It's obviously not going to do the one with the windmills in it just yet because those aren't actual contraption bits, but it will do it once we turn it on. So we're just going to fill that all the way up. That should let the kelp start growing. I'm going to just make sure over here seems to be good. It is. Awesome. And I am going to waterlog these mechanical harvesters. I don't think you need to do that, but I'm doing it anyway. All right, after that, we're gonna go up to the next floor. And up here, it's a little bit easier to get to. We're just waterlogging the whole thing again. All right, once that is full, we're just gonna right click this windmill bearing with an empty hand. And yeah, as you saw, these all turned into full blocks. Oh, maybe they didn't. I honestly think that's fine. I think kelp can still grow there, so I'm not super worried about it. If it becomes a problem, we can fix it. And then the last one to do is the sugarcane. Let's spin that up, and that should start going as well. So that are all the farms out of the way. These things are kind of the slowest to do. I would also recommend just checking all of these threshold switches, and if the power switch thing isn't like what you see here, or it's a little bit weird even, I would just double click the invert signal. Also make sure that both of these are set to multiple stacks and not items, because yeah, we don't want to have that be broken. So make sure that's set to stacks and 50-35, 40-35, 10-6. That'll be fine. Also make sure that you flip this threshold switch around just like that so that it does power this redstone link properly and power the packager here. Another thing that I forgot to do was put a lava bucket in this spot here that will just delete anything that isn't the precision mechanism. All right, I think now it's time for frog ports. You can see that there are quite a few around us and there's not really a good way to do this. I hope for my sanity. Yes, this has all the things that we need. Okay, so this clipboard here is linked with all of the names that we have for frog ports, and that just makes it a little bit easier for us us to do what we need to do. We should see that these brass tunnels already have package filters that are working, which is good. We don't need to rename any of those, but we do need to rename these frog ports. So we're going to just right click on this thing and place in our frog ports, send this one to send only, the one on top of the packager, and then this one over here on top of the vault, and we're going to name this one saw : asterisk. If you check the list here, you'll see that saw : 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are here, and this will just pick up all of those. For the crafting ones, we have 2 receivers. So we're going to grab the first one here, put it on the item vault, and then crafting with a capital C. The capitals do matter. We're going to name both of them that. And then the one over here is going to be sending itself to storage. So we're going to do this send only. All right, this one here is going to be fan : with a capital F and an asterisk. This one here is just going to be on send only mode. On the opposite side here, this one is going to be called track crafting. You can see on top of the barrel here, capital T, capital C. And then the one down here is just going to be in send only mode, sending it back to the main storage. Crushing wheels are up next. So this top one is going to be crushing with a lowercase c because I'm inconsistent. And then the bottom one is going to be send only. This first one is going to be pressing with a capital P. And then the back one is going to be compacting with a capital C. And then both of these are just going to be in send only mode. This one over here on this item vault is just going to be send only mode as well. This is just kind of a storage thing. And then let's get to all of these frog ports. So the ones with the stock link on them are going to be in send only mode. So let's do those first. There should be 4 in total. We're just going to connect them up to all of the links, send only, and then we're good to go. And then all the other ones, let's remove. These are going to all be named storage with a lowercase s. All right, there we go. Those are all named. And I forgot to do one thing. You can see that these are all 2x2 volts. We can't have that. We need all of these to be 3x3 volts. So unfortunately, you're going to have to break all of these and replace them all, which is genuinely the worst. And I'm so sorry, but that's just how it goes. All right, now that those are 4 3x3 volts, these frog ports are now good. We can move on. This guy's good, and this one should be precision mechanism. So we're just going to connect that up, place it down, and then capital P, capital M, and then this one over here is just going to be send only mode. This frog port is going to be send only mode as well. Make sure you connect it up to the main line here just so that it doesn't have to travel quite as far. Send only, and then this one over here is going to be in mixing : asterisk with a capital M. We have to change this to mixer. This one here is going to be send only, along with this one on top of the one that says storage. And then this one up here is going to be called deploying, since this is the kind of main deployer system that we have here. Okay, that may be most of them. We forgot the one over at the cobble farm. And ooh, no, my redstone. Okay, let's put this back. There we go. All right, now that we have that enclosed, we can then connect it up. This is going to be send only. And then we're also going to need to do this for this one down here that I totally missed as well. This will be the andesite send only. We also have to do this over here. So this is going to be the send only one over on this side. And then this one over here, we're going to call sturdy sheet with capital S's. And then that may be all of them. I'm going to believe it for now. Ooh, one thing I might have forgotten to do was to replace this frog port here and set it to sending mode, which is apparently exactly what I did, which is why we were waiting so long to get a bunch of stuff. So that's why that one wasn't working. So make sure you replace that as well. Connect it up to the main belt. Ooh, another thing, make sure you put in all of the water and lava that needs to be here. The water needs to be in the further away spot. I'm hoping that we can get it without picking up items. Oops, I waterlogged that campfire. All right, there we go. And then lava is going to be here and it's going to move over as well. Perfect. And now we can just close this bad boy up. All right, we should now see that those things start to get smelted. Something I forgot about was that these spots need infinite lava sources. So here for the mechanical pump, as well as here, and one more here need to be there. Oh, and another thing I forgot, we need buckets in this smart chute here. So I'm going to just throw in 16 buckets, and then the other thing that we need to do is let's shrink this by 1 just for now. We need to kind of break in here and place in 2 water sources here so that this mechanical pump now picks stuff up. All right, once we do that, we can place back in this, extend this belt, get a brass casing, and put this back. There we go. So now we have to move on to this. I'm hoping these are easy, but they aren't. Oh no, dude. Yeah, so hopefully this is fixed in the relatively short term, but we need to route everything together to be made. Thankfully, everything's already set to crafting in the promised expiration time, except for this, but everything should be set other than what is required to make it. So I guess let's start with the things that we're actually going to generate automatically. So that's going to be cobblestone. Cobblestone, we don't care about how it's made. It's not made by anything, but gravel is. So we're going to add cobblestone just like that, and then we're good. Same with sand, that'll be coming from that, along with this and this. You can notice here in the gravel crafting though, that it is 1-to-1. We're going to up both of those to 64 along with the sand. And in order to get clay, we're going to do 60 gives us 6 clay. And the flint is going to be the same 60, but it gives us 12. The glass comes from sand. That's going to be a stack and a stack. Clay also comes from sand, and so does soul sand. Soul sand is going to be 64 to 64. And then clay is going to be set to 64 and 16. Quartz and gold both come from soul sand. Brick comes from clay. This will be stack and a stack. Quartz is going to be 50 for the soul sand and 24 for the quartz. Gold comes from gold nuggets. Gold sheets comes from gold. And this is going to be compacting, and we're going to do 9 to 1. And then pressing will still be 1-to-1 since gold is going to be so slow to get. All right, now moving on to iron. We are getting iron and iron nuggets automatically. So iron blocks are going to be iron ingots. Iron blocks are again 9-to-1. Oh, and make sure down here for the gold nuggets, you increase this to 64 to 1 and set a timer for 5 minutes on the expiration there, since that one is not an accurate setup. For chains, we're going to do iron nuggets and iron ingots. Click the crafting button and we're good there. Andesite we are getting automatically as well. So for the Andesite Alloy, we're going to add andesite and nuggets and set all of these to 64. Iron sheets are just iron ingots. We're going to do a stack and a stack. Iron trapdoors are just iron ingots and a crafting recipe. Flint is going to be from washing gravel. We're not going to do this really, but it's good to have, and we're just going to do 16 on the flint for 64 gravel. Train tracks are going to be iron nuggets, where are you, and stone slabs. It's going to be 2-to-1 iron nuggets and stone slabs for one of these. So we're going to do 32 tracks for 64 nuggets and 32 slabs. Up at the top here, we're going to do stone pressure plates. That's going to be just the crafting recipe, standard. Stone is going to be miscellaneous blast smelting. We're going to do a stack and a stack. Blackstone is going to be haunting, stack and a stack as well. Smooth stone is just going to be stone, stack and a stack. And stone bricks are going to be stone, but we're doing that with compacting, not crafting. So we're going to do 64 is 64. To do the cardboard, this pulp is going to be birch saplings. The cardboard going to be pulp, and cardboard boxes are that. This is going to be crafting, so we're just setting up a crafting grid. This is pressing, so it's pretty much 1-to-1 here, but we're going to do a stack and a stack. And then this one, I think, is 4-to-1, if I remember correctly. So we're going to do 64 and 16. Item hatches are going to be andesite and the trapdoors here. Iron bars are going to be iron in the crafting recipe. This is also going to be set in the crafting recipe. It shouldn't matter if you didn't do that, but I'm doing it anyway. Chutes are going to be iron and iron sheets in crafting. These metal brackets are going to be iron and iron sheets, I think, as well. These brackets are going to be iron nuggets, iron ingots, and andesite alloy. We're going to set this to crafting if it'll let me. There we go. And then the metal girders are going to be andesite alloy and iron sheets. Now let's move on to wood. Stripped wood is just going to be wood. We're doing a stack and a stack. Planks are wood. This one is actually going to be different since it's going to be 6 planks for every log. And for this, we're going to do 10 logs gives us 60 planks. The birch trapdoor is just birch planks. That's going to be a saw. I think that's 1-to-1 if I remember correctly, but we're going to do a stack to a stack. Buttons are going to be also planks. That's also a saw. We're going to do stack and a stack. Charcoal is just logs. Stack and a stack. And levers are going to be wood and cobblestone. And by wood, I obviously mean sticks. I don't know what I'm saying. That'll be crafting, and that should be everything. This one is going to need a lever. The analog lever is going to need a stick and an andesite casing, which we will actually get to pretty much right now. Crafting table, believe it or not, the easiest thing in the world. And then the trapdoor is also pretty easy. We're just setting that to crafting. Slabs are going to be normal planks. We're going to do 32, gives us 64 of these since it's double. And then barrels are going to be slabs and normal planks. Portable storage interface is going to be a chute, an andesite casing, and then we're setting that to crafting mode. An item vault is going to be a barrel and some iron sheets. A water wheel is going to be a shaft, which we don't even have stuff yet for, and planks, set it to crafting. And then a bigger water wheel is going to be a water wheel with more planks, also set to crafting. Encased chain drive is nuggets and andesite alloy, or andesite casing, sorry. Andesite alloy is going to be alloy and birch planks. We're going to do a stack of all 3 of those. Oh my gosh, wait, this is wrong. We needed andesite casings, and that is going to be logs and not planks. So I apologize for that. It should be 64, 64. and resetting that should now fix it. And then I'm just going to go through and make sure that all of these are set to crafting because I was absolutely zoning out while I was explaining this. They all are. Good. The normal cogs are going to be shafts and planks. These are going to be a stack for all three. And the big ones are going to be planks and a shaft. And we're going to do a stack of planks, 32 slabs, and 32 large cogs there. All right. That should be most of the things. The linear chassis are going to be normal logs and andesite alloy. Same with the radial ones, normal logs, andesite alloy. Set both of these to crafting, and there we go. Tunnels and funnels are going to be dried kelp and andesite alloy, at least for the andesite ones. We're going to set both of those to crafting, and then let's get in all of the andesite stuff. So these four are all andesite alloy. We're going to get to measurements in a second, and then the same thing with a shaft that's also going to be andesite alloy. Andesite bars are the only one that's different. This is 1 to 4 instead of 1 to 2. So we're going to do 16 andesite alloy, gives us a stack, and then all the rest of them are going to be 32, gives us 64. So once we have all of those, we're going to move on to shafts. This one's 1 to 6, so we're going to do 10 of those and 60 of those. The piston extension pole is going to be an andesite alloy and some planks. The mechanical plow and harvester have the same items, so that's going to be andesite alloy, iron sheets, and an andesite casing. We're going to set that to crafting mode, and same with the plow. All three are going to be the same. It's just a different crafting recipe, and we don't have to deal with the crafting recipe, which is amazing. The basin is just andesite alloy crafting. A depot is an andesite alloy and an andesite casing. The weighted ejector is going to be a depot, a gold sheet, and a normal cogwheel up there, set to crafting. And then the desk bell is going to be a gold sheet and an andesite casing, set to crafting. The millstone is going to be a cog, andesite casing, and a stone type. I'm going to just do normal stone since that one's pretty easy to get. The windmill bearing is going to be an andesite casing, shaft, and a slab, while the windmill bearing down below is going to be a shaft, slab, and stone piece. Set both of those to crafting, and then we're on to the whisks. The whisk is going to be andesite alloy and sheets, set to crafting, and so is the fan. I did those backwards, but it's the same thing. And now that should be everything. We still have the kelp thing to go and the brass tunnels and stuff, so let's get to kelp. The dried kelp is just going to be normal kelp, smoked. Set that to 64. This one is going to just be crafting because it's easier, and then we have belts. Belts are, again, crafting because it's easier, and there we go. The chain conveyors are going to be a large cogwheel and andesite casing, and the gearboxes are going to be small cogwheels and andesite casings. You're going to set both of those to crafting, and then the mixers are going to be a whisk, andesite casing, and a cogwheel, crafting. Fan is the encased fan, and andesite casing and a shaft, set to crafting. A normal piston, which is what this one is here, is going to be cobble, wood, redstone, and iron ingots, which we can all have. The redstone's up on the top right over here, way a ways away, but we can get to it. Set this to crafting. Sticky piston, normal piston, and a slime block, or slime ball. And then a sticky mechanical piston is going to be a mechanical piston and a slime ball, and set that to crafting. The mechanical press is going to be iron block, shaft, and andesite casing, set to crafting. The mechanical piston is going to be that piston arm, and andesite casing and a slab, set to crafting. And then a saw is going to be an iron ingot, iron sheets, and an andesite casing. We're going to set that to crafting, and then the drill is going to be the same thing, but instead of an iron ingot or iron plate, it's going to be andesite alloy. So andesite alloy, iron, andesite casing, crafting, good. I did just realize that we forgot to do sticks, which is just going to be wood, set to crafting already, and then the final one is going to be these metal brackets. That's going to be just normal planks. We're going to do sticks and andesite alloy. Set this to crafting. All right, officially, that is the end of the andesite age. Let's get on to the rest of them. These are less, but they're just as complicated, so bear with me. Thankfully, we already have most of the things that we need. So these copper sheets are going to be iron or copper ingots. Same with the copper bars, and same with the copper rods. This is going to be crafting. That's easy. This is going to be pressing. We're doing a stack of each here, and same with the blocks. We're going to do 9 to 1. The zinc nuggets are just zinc, brass nuggets just brass. Brass is copper ingots and zinc ingots. In a heated mixer, we're going to do 32 and 32 gives us 64 brass. And then the brass sheets are just brass. We're pressing them, so we're do a stack of each. Brass blocks are brass. We're crafting that, so set it to crafting. And then these bells are crafting, so we're going to do brass blocks and brass sheets set to crafting. This haunted bell is going to be, believe it or not, the haunting of the bell. And we're just going to do one for those because I cannot be bothered making so many of those. For the deployer's hand, it's going to be brass sheets and andesite alloy way over here. Set that to crafting. For the brass casings, we're going to do brass ingots and the stripped logs that we have over here. We're going to do a stack of each, and the same is going to be said with the copper casings. So copper ingots, stripped logs, stack, stack. The transmitter here is going to be copper sheets, a lightning rod, and a redstone bit. Set that to crafting. And then we need to go back and just make sure that we have all the things for the nuggets, because I didn't do those. Amethyst, we're going to get automatically. Everything in this little section is now done. Let's get on to the wool bits. So wool is generated by itself. We don't care about that. The sails come from wool. So do the seats. So do the tablecloths. So does this thing. The sails also need sticks and andesite alloy. The seat is a slab and wool. Set to crafting. The tablecloth is just andesite alloy. Set to crafting. And then this last one, the rope pulley, is going to be andesite casing and an iron sheet along with that wool. The pipe is going to be copper sheet and copper ingots. Set to crafting. The mechanical pump is going to be a pipe and a cog. Set to crafting. The smart fluid pipe is just a fluid pipe. Electron tube, I think that's what it's called. It is, and a brass sheet. The fluid tank is going to be copper sheets and barrels. We're going to set that to crafting. The valve itself is going to be a pipe and, over here, iron sheet. And then the valve handle is going to be andesite alloy and copper sheets. We're going to set both of those to crafting. The item drain is going to be an iron bar and the copper casing. The portable fluid interface is going to be copper casing and a chute. We're going to set both of those to crafting if we haven't already. The spout is going to be copper casing and dried kelp, set to crafting. And then the hose pulley is going to be dried kelp blocks, copper sheet, and copper casing. The steam engine is going to be a copper block, a gold sheet, and an andesite alloy. Set that to crafting. And then the steam whistle is going to be gold sheet and copper ingot. And we're going to set that to crafting. These crafting slot covers are just going to be brass nuggets. We're going to set that to crafting. And then we're going to move on to the contraptions. So obviously minecarts are going to be iron ingots. Where is this cat? Oh, you're over here. Our gantry shafts are going to be redstone dust and andesite alloy. We're going to set both of those to crafting. Make sure you do that for the minecart. Gantry carriage is going to be a cog, a slab, and an andesite casing, set to crafting. And then the cart assembler is going to be redstone, andesite alloy, and a log type. Make sure to set that to crafting. All right, the next few are going to be rails. So we're going to do normal rails first. That's going to be a stick and iron. Powered rails are going to be redstone, a stick, and gold ingots. Set both of those to crafting if you haven't already. The controller rail is going to be the same, but instead of redstone, we're going to do electron tubes. So we're going to do electron tube, a stick, and a bunch of gold. Set that to crafting. The detector rail is going to be a stone pressure plate way over here, a stick, and then normal iron, a piece of redstone, and the normal iron. And then the activator rail is going to be a redstone torch, stick, and iron. And there we go. That should be all of the things in this little section done. The precision mechanism is going to be small cogwheels, large cogwheels, and iron nuggets. These are all going to be set to 25. And then we're also going to add in gold sheets, and that is going to be set to 5, with this one being 5 as well. And then we're going to set this to a 10-minute expiration time because there is a chance that this doesn't get all the way. I'm wrong. We're going to set this to 4 and still a 10-minute expiration chance because it is a percentage chance of 20% that we don't get what we want. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's up this to 30 minutes, which is the max, just so that it takes a while for it to fill up your belts if you're AFKing it. And you could honestly just set it to don't expire and it'll probably be fine. So it's up to you what you want to do. If you want to do not expire or does expire, it doesn't super matter. The mechanical arm is going to be a precision mechanism, brass sheet, brass casing, and cogwheel, and andesite alloy. Gonna set that to crafting. The rotation speed controller is going to be a precision mechanism and a brass casing. Set that to crafting, and that should be kind of most of this section here done. We're going to get the slime stuff in now. So glue is going to be slime, iron sheets, and iron nuggets. Gonna set that to crafting. This thing here, I don't really know what it does, but it's going to be cobble, andesite alloy, redstone, and slime. Set it to crafting. What is this called? An expecting sticker. Don't even know. The rose quartz is going to be redstone and, believe it or not, quartz. This is going to be set to crafting as we've seen. And then the polished rose quartz is going to be rose quartz, the sandpaper, and then we're going to do 8 rose quartz, 1 sandpaper for 8 of these polished rose quartz. Beneath that, we are going to do the electron tubes. That's going to be rose quartz and an pressed iron bit. And then we're going to set that to crafting. The contraption controls here are going to be that electron tube, an andesite casing, and a button. The redstone torch up at the top is going to be redstone and a stick. The compass below it is going to be redstone and some iron. Oh, I keep breaking it. Okay, we're back to where we were. These contraption controls are set up. Compass, iron ingots. And then we have a dropper that's going to be redstone and cobblestone. I have decided to not also do dispensers because we don't have a spider farm. You can add that really easily, and I've left a spot here for you to do that. Redstone links are going to be a transmitter and andesite casing. The speedometer is going to be a compass and an andesite casing. The stressometer is going to be the speedometer. We're going to set both of these to crafting. For the pulse repeater and extender, we're going to do redstone, and stone. And that is the same for both of those. And then we're just going to set both of those to crafting. Why didn't that work? What are you saying? Oh, of course, they also need some brass sheets because duh, they have brass in them. But then we should be able to switch those to crafting, which is great. The pulse timer is going to need amethyst, and that's going to be used instead of the normal redstone. So we're going to need redstone torch, brass sheet, and stone way over here. But once we have that, that'll be good. The power toggle latches are going to need redstone torches, stone, and levers in both of them. The one with the redstone on the sides, however, is going to also need redstone dust. So be sure to add that there. All right, and we're going to set both of these to crafting. The display link is going to be a brass casing and a transmitter. Set that to crafting. The Nixie tubes are going to just be those electron tubes set to crafting. Rose quartz lamps are going to be the polished rose quartz, some zinc, and a bit of redstone. For the clutch, we're going to get some andesite casing, a shaft, and some redstone. For the gear shift, we're going to do basically the same thing, redstone, andesite casing, but then we're going to do a cogwheel. Set both of those to crafting. And then the adjustable chain gear shift is just going to be a encased chain drive and one of these redstone tube bits. We're going to set that to crafting. Sequence gear shift is going to be a Nixie tube, brass casing, and a cogwheel. Set that to crafting, of course. Threshold switch is going to be that electron tube, brass casing, and a comparator up at the top there. We haven't even set that one up yet, but that'll be fine. Set that to crafting. The redstone contact is going to be, of course, redstone. We're going to do cobblestone and then iron sheets. And then the smart observer is going to be this electron tube, brass casing, and a normal observer. The mechanical crafter is, believe it or not, going to be a crafting table, an electron tube, and a brass casing. And then the elevator pulley is going to be a block of dried kelp, brass casing, and an iron sheet. All right, the last ones here, smart chute is going to be an electron tube, a normal chute, and then we're going to do a brass sheet. Set that to crafting. The clockwork bearing, brass, a slab made of wood, and an electron tube. And then a deployer is going to be an electron tube, andesite casing, and that hand that we made a little bit earlier. And we're going to set that to crafting. The packager is going to be made up of redstone, iron, and the cardboard blocks. The repackager is going to be made out of the packager. Set it to crafting. The stock links are going to be the transmitter and an item vault. Set it to crafting. The frog ports are going to be slime, andesite alloy, and an item vault. The redstone requester is going to be redstone, the stock link, and an iron ingot. The stock ticker is going to be another stock requester thingy, gold ingot, and a glass block. Set that to crafting. And the last one are factory gauges, and that is going to be that stock tracker thingy. I forget what it's called, the stock link, and a precision mechanism. All right, the rest of the things should be either vanilla, like this observer that we haven't even done. That's going to be redstone, quartz, and some cobblestone. And now basically all we have left to do is the obsidian. So the obsidian dust is just obsidian. This is going to be a 1-to-1 crushing. These sturdy sheets are also 1-to-1 with the obsidian dust. We're going to do a stack at a time because I can't be bothered. And then the train schedule is the sturdy sheet, normal paper, in a crafting grid. The train casing is going to be sturdy sheet and a brass casing. We're going to do a stack of all three. Normal paper is going to be from sugarcane. We're going to craft that. Sandpaper is going to be normal paper and sand. We're going to craft this as well. Train controls are going to be a lever, a train casing, and a precision mechanism. Make sure to set this to crafting. Train station is going to be a train casing and a compass. Set this to crafting. Train observer is going to be a train casing and a wooden pressure plate. We're going to use birch here. And then the train signal is going to be a train casing and the electron tube. And I think that should now be it as long as we set this to crafting. Ooh, one thing we forgot to do was the brass tunnels and funnels. So for both of these, we're going to do brass ingots, electron tubes, and the kelp here. Should be dried kelp, by the way. And we're doing that for both of them. So brass ingots. There we go. That's good news. Oh, two more that I forgot to do are repeaters and comparators. Those ones are actually pretty important. So the repeater is going to be redstone torch, redstone, and stone. And then the comparator is going to be redstone torch, quartz, and stone. We also have to do diorite, which is going to be quartz and cobble. We're going to set that up with crafting. All right, and we're going to put those two together. There we go. Another one we forgot to do was display boards. These are going to be the electron tubes and andesite alloy. Oh, what I forgot to do was the crafting of stone slabs. We're going to just have it add stone and then just put it in the crafting grid there. The good news about this is that it kind of doesn't matter if it breaks. we can deal with it if it does, because it won't break too bad. At least I hope not. We should see that the steam engine is now ready to hook up. So let's get a chain and connect it up with the rest of the power grid. And then we will see that a bunch of stuff starts happening immediately. I love that. That's hilarious. So we should see that a bunch of stuff starts getting filled. These requests start getting filled. The good news is that we can verify first that the crafting is working now. We should see crafters coming in from these repackagers and getting put in and actually crafting stuff. If it's not crafting stuff, make sure that all of these mechanical crafters are actually connected. And I can show you what I mean. So if we connect up all of these things, you can see that on the back here, these are separate. If you right click with a wrench on all these spots, it'll eventually make them all go away. And once they're all connected, then the packager in this thing will actually work. So make sure that's happening. We should also see that these items go into the storage, and after a certain amount of time, they get flung back up, which is really good. But these things are now running. We do need to keep an eye out for things like this, where packagers are not working properly, because what are we looking for? We're looking for a heated mixer. Ooh, I bet I named it mixing. That's probably what happened. Yep, so I named it mixing. We have to change this to mixer, but I bet once that happens, it will send them all over to that to be picked up. Perfect. So that's why we check these things. It is important to do that, and I gotta stop this. Let's break all these. So this sometimes happens just because linear chassis are stupid. There we go. Wait, what are you even connected to? All right, there we go. That's a little bit fixed. Okay, so as we can see, things are continuing to go. The crafters are working as expected. It doesn't look like saws are doing anything just yet, but that doesn't mean they're broken or anything. Ooh, one of these things wasn't working. My guess is it's because I accidentally broke our iron ingot thing and had to replace it, and I bet that some of these didn't actually work. So let me I bet it is happening in other places too, but that's okay. We will deal with it. All right, but as this runs, I am going to tick warp, so basically just speed up my game so that this goes faster, and I'll let you know of any bugs that I run into. Don't click off the video yet unless you want to deal with it yourself, which would be stupid because you've already gone this far. Ooh, one thing I forgot to do, we need to put lava in this cauldron because otherwise this vault will just fill up with a bunch of flint. As you can see, we already have 4,000 flint in this thing, and it looks like one of these packages got stuck or it doesn't know where to be sent to. Haunting. Ooh. Cobblestone. Oh, that's because I didn't change this bad boy to the new one. That'll be fixed in your version, so you don't have to worry about that. But that cauldron you will definitely have to worry about it, because as you can see, we're still dropping out. We have 4,000 flint still. So yeah, that's a good thing to get to. I'm curious as to where our cobblestone is going. Oh, of course. Okay, so yeah, we had too much flint in this item vault, so it was filling up too much. We should see. Why does this not have items in it? Oh, okay. So another thing, if you only have iron nuggets in this item vault, you're going to have to check out this threshold switch and flip the invert signal button twice so that this starts dropping items out. Then we should see that this starts making iron ingots, and then once the iron ingots get to a stack, it'll go down into here and then route around and be all silly. So we should see that happen in a second here. Maybe it already did happen and I'm missing it. Nope, it'll happen right now. Yep, there we go. So that happened. We got a stack in here, and now it is already being sent out. So the iron bit is now fixed. That is a little bit better. Obviously, as I mentioned, you'll need to fill this up with a bunch of items. If it doesn't work for you, then that's going to be why. And you should start seeing that most of these lines start becoming blue. Hopefully with enough time, that will be the case. Make sure you have all the kelp and kind of basic materials that you need. So it looks like we are able to get all of the things here, which means this whole process seems to be good. I am still looking at other sections to see what could be going wrong. So far though, it looks okay. It looks like we just don't have enough iron to make everything that we want. And after probably 15 hours, honestly, of AFKing, everything is now green. We have so many items in this thing. It is basically idling right now, but let's check out the blaze burner stock keeper. We have so many things. This is absolutely insane. Pretty much half a stack of every item that we would ever need, including the entirety of the brass age, all the train stuff, all the cart stuff, all the redstone stuff, everything, all the copper stuff, everything that you would ever need. And this farm is done. So hopefully this farm works for you, because it did take, I do say 15 hours. I am obviously lying a little bit. I mean, I ticked warped the whole thing and it was a lot faster than 15 hours for me. but also I had a lot of troubleshooting that you hopefully won't have to do because I will have already addressed it in the video. So hopefully it'll be less for you, and it's not 15 hours of effort, it's just sitting and going to sleep and letting the game run, which is way easier to do, or you could chunk load it if you're on a server and just not even be online. Like, that'll work. So it is not horrible to get, and I mean, the payoff of every single item in the create mod I think might be worth it. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, this video, the farm itself, and all of the cool modules that we made for this farm to upgrade it to the best thing that we can make. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!